just check whether I can share my screen.
Yes,
Sometimes,
yes, please. Yeah, sometimes it happens. Yeah.
yes, Teams generally gives me some issues. Yeah, I'm okay. I think I can share everything.
All
Yeah,
right.
I
Yeah. The
I
voice
see
is
what
also
I
perfectly all good, sir. It's too very good.
right.
Right.
Thank
Fine,
you.
sir. Right.
Right.
Thank you,
So
sir.
I'm here. When you want, just give me a shout. No problem.
All right. Fine, sir. Fine. At 3:30, I'm going to start with. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, sir. लाइव कर दिया आपने यूट्यूब में सर? एसी तो ऑन है ना? जब मैं बोलूं वहां पे खड़े होकर कुछ इशारा मत करना, मैं डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो जाती हूँ, ठीक है? पंकज सर इतने सीरियस क्यों हुआ हैं सर? स्माइल दो, इतनी सीरियसली हुआ हैं? अच्छा, आवाज आ रही होगी? हाँ ठीक है। देखो सर को आ गई, आपको मुबारक करने के लिए सर। मैडम आई थी एक मुबारक करने के लिए। किसका? सर अभी पता नहीं है, अभी मैं स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ। पार्टिसिपेंट कितने हैं अभी? पार्टिसिपेंट कितने हैं सर? हम्म? 50 करूँ शुरू? देख के बताती हूँ क्या बात, पता नहीं, देखना पड़ेगा अभी। ऑल राइट, स्टार्ट कर रही हूँ। Good morning, everyone. It is often said that time flies when we are busy doing our favorite task. And in our case, it is learning. And today, we have reached the penultimate day of the FDP. I, Dr. Tripti Lamba, Associate Professor from Computer Science Department and convener for the FDP on Emergence of Blockchain Technology and Cryptocurrency, would like to welcome all of you. Yesterday's speakers were Professor Dr. Basant Verma, who guided us on data science for blockchain and cryptocurrencies and its application, and Dr. Lokesh Chauhan shared his knowledge on blockchain for IoT application and research perspectives. Without taking much of your time, I would now like to welcome our first speaker of the day, Mr. Raj Kapoor, founder, India Blockchain Alliance. Mr. Raj Kapoor is an advisory board member at several blockchain companies and the founder and chairman of the Indian Blockchain Alliance, the largest Indian emerging technology tech think tank. He is an accomplished innovation professional, Drupal web application developer, blockchain solution architect, educator, certified Bitcoin professional, blockchain solution architect, community organizer, and friend of disruptive ideas. Bottom chairman of Organization of Blockchain Technology Users. He is the Asia Lead Technology and Innovation at Blockspace Technology Limited and advisor of Tech Build Innovation Partners. He has helped organize India's biggest blockchain and cryptocurrency events across major cities. Mr. Raj has also spoken at several international seminars and conferences in Boston, Los Angeles, Amsterdam, Copenhagen, Singapore, Dubai, Nicosia, Vienna. He regularly speaks in tech events in India, Africa, Malaysia, and Canada. Besides blockchain, Raj is skilled in AI, robotics, cybersecurity, IoT, and cloud computing. So it is also a regular contributor to several technology publications, including Times Tech India. His organization, IBA, is the official blockchain partner at the Africa Tech Week 2020. He was also selected this year as a top cryptocurrency and blockchain influencer by Asian Market. Sir is mentoring 20 plus blockchain startups across the globe. So now I would request Mr. Raj Kapoor to glorify the session with his immense knowledge and experience on future trend in blockchain technology. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tripti. Thank you for the very, very warm welcome. It's always nice to be in Delhi, even if it's virtually. I am from Delhi, that's why. So I always feel at home when I'm speaking to somebody from Delhi. So, well, thank you so much for the welcome. And a very, very good morning to all the participants who are here today. You've been having some wonderful sessions over the last few days. I saw the entire schedule wonderfully put together. Congratulations for that. Now, here's what I would like to add to all that. Whatever we are learning, that's great, but the learning never stops. Trust me, I've been in this blockchain space now. This is in December, I'll complete 11 years in blockchain, which is really a long time in the blockchain space. And a lot of people, a lot of my friends call me now, you become a grandfather of blockchains. I said, all right, not a problem, I'm fine. So I'm good with that. I'm also, apart from this, I've just been appointed as, if you are aware, that Nigeria is rolling out its CBDC right now in October. So I'm part of the task force, which is going to be doing that in Nigeria. Unfortunately, the Indians work a little slower than Nigerians. So we have given our submissions to the government as well. Let's see where that goes. Anyways, the good thing is blockchain is always evolving. It's always churning. There's always something new. In fact, daily there's something new. Today is a Live Mint newspaper, if you read, this morning. In India now, 90 companies are accepting Bitcoins now for payments. There's a company called Unicoin, which has come together and aggregated 90 companies. So now we can gift people, we can buy stuff on this. I'll share the link with you a little later. But that bottom line is we are already now seeing the future. That's the subject which I have today. Where is blockchain going? What's our future? Is it going to stay there? Is it a bubble? What is it? So I'm going to share my experience and I'm going to share some insights into this space, because whatever you learn today may be absolutely out of sync, maybe in 3 months' time. So keep learning and keeping at it. Always happy to help there. I'm doing a lot of research in this space, and I've just finished one huge research paper, send it to Stanford now. Let's see how it goes. We're doing it along with Stanford. And it's great because there is going to be a major breakthrough in the next few months. I am not allowed to disclose it right now, so I'll disclose it a little later. But I'm just telling you one thing. Blockchain is going to be disrupted in a big way. And in 5 years' time, 60 to 70% of the existing blockchains will not be there also. It's going to be, the fittest will be there. The others will drop by the wayside or merge or whatever. So let me start the presentation. I want to start with a little bit of a movie clip. It's a 7-8 minute clip, very nice. Talks about a little bit of, it just gives a recap on how the blockchain scenario is and what's going to happen in the future. I will then walk you through my predictions and my observations over the next few hours, 45 minutes or so. So let me just show you that first. Starting off now, guys, here we go. And the first thing I'm going to show us is the following. All right, I don't have it here. Okay, screen sharing enables. Suddenly there's, yes. Okay. People always ask me what's going to happen in the future. So there's a little video here, which I think is a very apt video to start a session, and then we can go into the main session. Sit back, relax. Beautiful morning, Friday morning, nice weekend coming up. Here we go.
Listen carefully. Do you know about the blockchain? The blockchain is a secure digital record of transactions, or in other words, the internet transmits information. The blockchain transfers ownership. It's going to change the world. Just like the internet, blockchain is decentralized and anyone can join in. Blockchain is the technological answer to the desire for more transparency and efficiency. Where do these two factors play a major role? That's right, in almost all transactions between people. Would you rather close your eyes, or are you ready to take a look at a world with blockchain? Brave. Let's see what you say if I show you 4 possible scenarios of how blockchains could change the world.
In this world, the blockchain is a complete success, but perhaps not quite in the way that 1 or 2 romantics might have dreamt. Were the promises of salvation in a decentralized world kept? Have we arrived in an El Dorado for developers? Has a wave of disruption taught the finance industry what fear is? Not really. The big players and tech giants were the first to recognize the blockchain's potential. Startups and the brightest minds were brought up in a flash, and the customers are pretty happy about innovative solutions and lower prices from well-known suppliers. Established banks formed a consortium and created joint standards. Okay, a couple of players were no longer needed, which some people called a mass extinction. Anyway, today the finance sector is distinctly leaner and more efficient. And yes, the world has become more convenient. Governments use blockchains to streamline administrative processes. Elections? On the blockchain, of course. Land registration? Trade register? It's all on the blockchain. The blockchain is quicker, safer, and more flexible than everything that came before. But in the end, did the world change fundamentally? Not really. Blockchain. What was that again? After the hype, this storm in a teacup blew over quickly. It turned out to be impossible to overcome the blockchain's technical limitations. But in the end, the whole excitement was actually good for something, just something quite different from what was expected. Do you remember the hysterical debate about trust in the system, black sheep in the finance industry, corruption and constant economic crises? The big stick of the blockchain taught the established institutions one thing above all: change, or users will recognize you as a bug and change you. The blockchain is the little man's bazooka, an outstanding weapon to remove reform bottlenecks and break up in the concentration of power. Nowadays, most of the money earned with blockchains is in niches. A few dynamic players in the finance industry make use of the technology to dominate parts of the value chain. And clever startups enable countries with poorly developed infrastructure to use innovative products such as mobile payments and digital land registries. A better world thanks to blockchain? Definitely.
Okay, we'll see a couple of other scenarios a little later. Right now, I'll come back to my presentation. We'll see a couple more scenarios at the end of our session. All right, So where is blockchain gonna go? That's a very million-dollar question, so to speak. Where is it gonna go? We'll find out where it's gonna go just in a minute. Okay, I have prepared something which I think is going to be the future of blockchain now. So let's come straight to the point, friends. And remember, whatever I'm saying can change dramatically, but by and large, these are going to be the future trends. And this is not just my, my visionary thinking. It's the vision thinking of a lot of tech giants, including the Accentures, the Forbes, etc. So let's have a look. Jack Ma said blockchain technology is going to be a very critical technology for the future development of the world. Well, that's one. By the way, Jack Ma holds the largest number of blockchain patents in the world. He and his company Alibaba. Well, this is another one. Blockchain social media is social media. And I'm working with one such company called Floix, and I can actually see when this gentleman called Gary Vaynerchuk said this statement about a year and a half back, how true it rings. At the macro level, blockchain is not going anywhere. So blockchain is here to stay forever, and it's a very big deal. We can keep saying there are a lot of other things, but I think this is a very critical thing. The old question used to be, is it in the database? And we all know that everything's in the database. We live in a digital age, but will it be replaced by? Is it on the blockchain? That's the question most often asked now. So we have Elon Musk. He says he'll support cryptos. And more important, Ian Khan says, as revolutionary as it sounds, blockchain is a mechanism to bring everyone to the highest degree of accountability. And that's what makes blockchain not just an information technology, it makes blockchain an institutional technology, because as an institution, it can hold you responsible for the degree of accountability. That trust factor, that's called blockchain, also is known as programmable trust. You must have heard a lot of experts talk in the earlier stages, but that's what it is, it's programmable trust. One thing, again, a little caveat here, we all understand blockchain from different levels. Most of us never had exposure to blockchain because it was never there as part of a curriculum or a subject. So a caveat here is a lot of experts talk about blockchain, but they see it from their point of view. They see it from where they have come in. They see it maybe from the second floor or the 8th floor or the 10th floor, depending on where they've got it from. Very few understand it from ground up. And here's an opportunity for all of us who are listening in today. If we understand blockchain from the foundation upwards, it's really going to change not only the world, our futures, our careers, our students, everything around us. Well, let me start with the complete impact. So I've taken some 8-10 key impacts over the next few years. Well, the first impact, the global blockchain market is going to grow massive, from $3 billion to about $40 billion in 2025. That's fine. It's big growth. We all know that. And that's why we're probably part of the session anyways. Let's see what the second impact is. COVID, and it's a word which no one in our generation or the next generation will forget. So COVID-19 is going to accelerate blockchain transitions. You know why? Because 90% of current blockchain projects will require replacement because of COVID now. Because most of them, because they don't understand tokenization very well, smart contracts, well, they don't understand it. They skip this. I've seen so many blockchains and organizations fail because they have not tokenized their software or their entire blockchain strategy, or they haven't put in the right smart contracts. Something, I was talking last night at an event in the United States, and we were talking about the importance of the smart contract. Now, the smart contract, in theory, is easy to understand, but practicality is difficult, yes. And there are no smart contract developers. Seriously. There is a huge lacuna in the United States. For example, $150,000 is what they're offering for a smart contract developer, and they're not getting enough. They were asking me whether I can get them in India. So what I'm doing is I'm doing actually a whole bunch of programs and developing guys who understand smart contracts, because they're going to get great jobs there. Because post-COVID, a lot of blockchains have figured out that there is a lacuna, there is a gap, and that gap needs to be covered. So by in another few years' time, especially coming this year and the next, there's going to be a lot of churn in the blockchains. Blockchains are great, but they need to be made stronger, better, more efficient. And that's what COVID has taught us. A lot of people could not go to work. And now a lot of decentralized applications are coming in. And therefore, blockchain is in big demand again. Well, third impact is corporates are going to accelerate that digital transformation. So yeah, that's going to be a very big plus. It's going to be no longer a choice. It's going to be the key to survival. COVID catalyzed this acceleration. It'll become transformative, and a lot more industries than we can think of. No longer is the financial industry the major impact. There is going to be impact all industry, education, logistics, supply chain, agriculture, utilities, charity, voting, everywhere. Fourth impact, and globally, 30% of projects will make it into production. As we may be aware that from 2018 onwards, we are in the takeoff space in blockchain. 2018 onwards, after a lot of proof of concepts were created, situations, and well, we did, and the solutions tested in multiple environments, there was a boom in a lot of projects, 2018 onwards, including in India, by the way. And 30% of these will now make it into production. That's big. 30%, and there, just for example, in India itself, the government has more than 90 projects on the blockchain at different levels, proof of concept, pilot, production, multiple levels. And that's important because the pandemic-induced acceleration will bring measurable benefits. Worldwide, blockchain solution spend is forecast reach about 18 billion by 2024 and growing at 46.4%. So what do we see from now? Actually, COVID has fast-tracked a lot of initiatives in the blockchain space. Yes, the market is growing. Yes, there's going to be a churn. There's going to be an upheaval. A lot of blockchains initially made are going to have a lot of modifications, changes, amendments, so on and so forth. So we had PricewaterhouseCoopers had a report in Feb 2021. There were about 669 million transactions on the blockchain. We can't even write that number down. It'll go right across the pages. So private blockchains now, that is permissioned blockchains, will dominate. And who uses private blockchains? Mostly enterprise. And they are going to retain the market size in 2021, largest market size. Why? Because decisions are faster in the private enterprise. There are less challenges, less actors in the play. In the government, for example, there are many agencies in play, so it takes a little longer to get in the public blockchains. But private ones are going to blitz right through the market. 6, in spite of what we think is happening in China, and trust me, everybody asks me this question, oh, China is cracking down on crypto, etc., etc., etc. Sure, it is doing that. It's a show for the rest of the world. But China is actually making the fastest progress and will continue to do so. We also know that China is very smart as far as the strategy is concerned. It may, say, all right, we'll crack down on China to show the world that we are cracking down on crypto. A lot of that. In fact, coming back to the blockchain infrastructure, well, they say we've got a state-backed blockchain-based service network, which is going to make blockchain an integral part of the country's digital infrastructure. It is so powerful, the infrastructure, that frankly, and there is so much extra capacity that they've created, they can actually offer it to the rest of the world. And they will, that's a strategic thing they've done. So the rest of the world's dependency on China keeps growing. Nothing wrong with it. It's a strategy. How we take it is our way of life. Okay. They're also, that they're taking all the yuan, digital currency. Yeah, well, crypto yuan is about to come out. And that's the reason why there'll be a crackdown. But the crackdown is just, I would say, on the surface. They are and are making the fastest progress. By the way, just before the crackdown, more than 60% of mining, Bitcoin mining, etc., was done in China. Well, we have another impact now. The next impact, which we say, is the banking and financial sector further is going to dominate the market. Now, it is going to do that. It will derive $1 billion of business value from the use of blockchain-based cryptocurrencies by 2022. That's exactly about a year from now. As I told you, during the last 2 years, we have seen cryptocurrencies moving towards mainstream. They are not mainstream as yet, but they are moving. And the banking sectors also are now moving towards that. We may have heard recently that there's a company called Kasha India, Cashaa, Kasha India, which is going to open more than 100 physical and not just an exchange, 100 physical branches of crypto banks. Well, that's very big. Post-COVID, a lot of things are happening. Fintech is moving really fast. And even these banks, crypto banks, are now coming in the nation. We never had these banks 2 years back. We have 2 branches now, one in Jaipur and one in New Delhi. These, in a banking sector, is going to really, get a real solid impact because the fintech, which is, of course, the financial aspect of it, of the decentralized ledger technologies, has taken a major impact. And a lot of banks now are moving on to the blockchain. And therefore, everything will be related to blockchain. I don't know if you know that as 7 Indian banks, a consortium of 7 Indian banks have already joined on the JP Morgan blockchain. And you may have known that a couple of months back, even the State Bank of India moved digital cash settlement systems onto the blockchain. Well, that's just the beginning of a major upheaval in the financial markets, guys. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen big. And we don't have enough qualified people to actually manage that. We need 1.6 million resources over the next 5 years in the fintech space, and we don't have them. We don't see the horizon. It's not going to be very easy, but we'll have to, because the world, as it moves, moving towards the blockchain. Many countries have moving all the systems slowly onto the blockchain. Indian banks and the financial institutions also will be moving them. It's a matter of time. Australia, for example, has given itself 5 years to complete the transition from traditional to blockchain-based financial ecosystems. So Gartner says this, I say it, I can see it because I do a lot of training in universities and colleges where we require fintech professionals, blockchain professionals, and we have very few of them. So that's going to be one. This is interesting because national cryptocurrencies will appear. Oh yes, Russia has already proposed to issue crypto ruble. We know that China is doing a similar thing. Even the Reserve Bank of India is contemplating our own digital currency. And by 2022, at least 5 countries will issue their national cryptocurrency. In fact, by 2030, most governments either will create or will adopt some form of virtual currency. So the future is now closing in. And the more clued in we have, the better it is. And of course, the more trained and the knowledge we have in this space, well, it's much better for us. Now, this is very important. Blockchain integration into government agencies. Now, this is a very critical aspect, and the future, even if governments, I'm not saying about the Indian government or any other government, I'm talking about governments in general, will have no choice but to actually put a lot of their processes, of the systems on the blockchain. E-governance, land records, you name them, certifications, licenses, everything will be on the blockchain. Agriculture, supply chain, all that stuff. Now, Estonia is one country. It's already implemented blockchain technology at the government level. We also must be knowing that Dubai is the first city to actually become a blockchain city where all its governance processes are on the blockchain. Dubai is a classic example of how government-based blockchains can be a success story. The Dubai government has put all its processes. We've in fact just finished doing a huge chunk of work for them.
we are putting all the entire police department, the state police departments, and the forensics on the blockchain. Apart from that, we put in a lot of things like the traffic management on the blockchain, traffic and fine violations on the blockchain, e-governance, setting up shop, basically. If you want to set up a company, everything is automated on the blockchain. Nobody can be in the middle and start faking documents. Nobody can, and it's very, very fast. So hitherto, if it was taking, say, about 30 days to set up a company there, it takes probably about 30 minutes now, and it's all on the blockchain. By 2022, more than 1 billion people will have some data about them stored on the blockchain. Right now, all our data is everywhere. Everywhere is our data. Yeah, we got 600,000 marketing agencies in our country who have your and my data. I don't know whether you know, but sometime back, LinkedIn was hacked. Yes. Before that, Domino's was hacked. And these are names that you and I know. That's why I'm sharing them with you. Before that, was hacked, Big Basket was hacked, and all our data, banking information, virtually everything was all with everybody to buy. I could have bought if I wanted, but I don't need it, so I didn't buy it. Right. The bottom line is, right now, it's every on no blockchain, and that's going to change in the next few years. Everything will be on the blockchain. As one of my favorite guy, William Morgire, says, the question is going to be, is it on the blockchain? Or before that, the question used to be, is it on the database? So where we are right now is it in the database? And soon we'll be, are we on the blockchain? And the answer will be yes. A lot of us will be on the blockchain. A lot of KYC projects are going on bringing in blockchain to for verification of KYCs and automating the whole system. Well, we have another major impact. Blockchain experts will be in high demand. All right, yes. This I can allude to because before 2 years back, about 2.5 years back, I would be doing maybe 3 meetings a day or 4 meetings a day. Today, I'm doing 12 to 14 meetings a day. Well, they consider me an expert, so fine. I'm in high demand, and I don't mind it. And they pay me very well, so I don't mind that. So, blockchain experts are gonna be in very high demand. NASSCOM came out with a 2019-2020 figures on blockchain. When I say blockchain, people who really know blockchain, not people who claim they know blockchain or they know one aspect of blockchain. So NASSCOM came up, and globally, there are about only 60 to 80,000 skilled resources who are industry ready globally. Now that's nothing, a drop in the proverbial ocean, 60 to 80. Seriously, that's it. And in India, we just got about 10,000 professionals who possess blockchain skills. Now, we all know economics very well. It's all supply and it's all demand. And that is very sad. We are a tech-savvy nation, and if we cannot have good professionals here, we should say, well, let's build it up. And that's what we are all doing now. We're building this, and they're in very high demand. Well, this is from as far as demand of engineers is concerned, this is a little, Computer World had this, blockchain engineers growth has been, since last year, 517% up. Boom. You total the rest of them and add the rest of them, it exceeds it even by another 100%. Others are in great demand. Yes, we are not to say that they are not, but the max has been here. Anyways, so there's another impact. Blockchain will meet the Internet of Things. Yesterday, I think you've done a session on where blockchain and IoT converge. I won't get deep into that, but bottom line is blockchain and IoT are not only working in tandem, but they're creating a massive impact. 23% of IoT deployments will enable blockchain services by 2022. Blockchain works with every technology. IoT is just one of them. The next big thing is going to be blockchain and artificial intelligence. That's going to be a major game changer in the blockchain space. Anyways, coming back to IoT. IoT is, we have already done a lot of work. Yesterday, we've had a session there. I won't get deep into it. Just need to know that blockchain and IoT are going to work very closely. But besides IoT, blockchain is working very closely with artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud computing, and most important, cybersecurity. So Finally, we also have, not finally, maybe before last, law integration into smart contracts. Now, most of us would know the smart contracts are contracts written in code which are self-executing. Fine, but they're decentralized and aren't regulated by any authority, unlike our other contracts, which are regulated by law in some form or the other. So sometimes they can be unclear how a contractual dispute should be settled, because once a smart contract is created, it can hardly be changed again. Very, very difficult or almost impossible. It basically self-executes, so everything is already packed in earlier. And the rule of law should be enforced into smart contracts in the near future. That's how there is going to be some regulations around smart contracts for dispute resolution. It could be within the community, it could be an external regulatory force, but there is going to be that, and there isn't any one right now. That's a gray area right now, and that gray area is going to be addressed, has to be addressed. So I had a 12 things in that space. I'll also share with you some impact predictions. That what I shared with you, the first 12 impacts, is what we are facing over the next 2 to 3 years. Short term, I would say. In the short term, to give a very quick recap, we're going to have new cryptocurrencies, we're going to have new regulations, we're going to have a churn, we're going to have a faster acceleration of the digital markets, our digital strategies. We're also going to have blockchain being rolled out on multiple sectors, multiple sides. It's going to be a very new paradigm now. But that's, again, a short-term paradigm. Let's have a look at now the impact predictions by 2030. 2030 is a decade from now. Almost by that time from now, for the next 10 years, blockchain will double in terms of the number of years in existence. So let's understand how it's going to make that impact in all our lives. Our first prediction, and these are predictions which we have made by consensus. A lot of us sat down together, worked on this, and said, well, let's predict what's going to happen, keeping in mind the last 10 years, the next 3 years, and thereby the next decade. Trillion-dollar companies by 2030 will metamorphose into $1 trillion token companies. What are token companies? We'll come to that. Here we go. See, we all know today that all firms exist because of transactions inside the membrane and across the boundary. Now, inside the membrane is internal, outside the boundary is external. So other transactions must cross the boundary. Now, we need to do businesses with other entities, and therefore you've got to step out of your own zones. You've got to have different countries, different states, different markets. But now this actually gets a lot of currencies in the play. Now, we don't need to have so many currencies if the businesses get tokenized. Blockchain it reduces the cost of transactions. Example, very simple example, a very basic example. Blockchain doesn't need an intermediary to, it's a peer-to-peer transaction. You don't need intermediaries. You don't need banks or intermediaries to transfer money from A to B. Also, the cost of transacting becomes very little. For example, if I transfer, say, $1,000 into an account in the USA, I pay maybe $10 or $12 as service charge. If I transfer $10,000, it proportionately increases. And if I transfer $1 million, also it proportionally increases. It keeps on going on a prorated basis. Yeah, not a problem. That's how it is. However, with blockchain, the transaction cost is going to be fixed. So whether you transfer $1 or $1 million, your cost will not change. And that's why for large-scale transactions, especially, it'll reduce the cost of transactions and information flows. So therefore, these trillion-dollar companies will be replaced by trillion-dollar tokens that will support a decentralized ecosystem of entities that together fulfill the role of a mega corporation. So we are drawn into the era where there will be more trillion-dollar tokens in 10 years than there will be trillion-dollar firms. So now the trillion-dollar firms like the Apples, the Amazons, etc., will always be there, but there are going to be many more because they are going to get into a tokenized economy and going to be using tokens for their growth. That's going to bring in lots more players just like we had in the internet era. Before the internet era, we had the Fords and the big huge companies which are still existing, and then we had Facebooks and the Amazons who came and took over very fast, and they became the trillion-dollar companies much faster than a Ford, for example, would have taken. Come blockchain, the next upheaval will happen when a lot of younger companies will come in, bring in a tokenized economy around them, and move into trillion-dollar firms. Here's going to be a very, very important thing, and this is not a prediction, this is going to be a reality. Blockchain identity for all. Now, today, all of us have got different documents to prove our identity, whether it's the PAN card, Aadhaar card, driving license, election, ration card, passport, plenty of things. So many different identities, documents we have. That's all okay, and different agencies which manage them. None of the agencies talk to each other in the sense that they don't work in tandem with each other. And what's going to happen is by 2030, a cross-border blockchain-based self-sovereign identity standard will be emerging for individuals as well as physical and virtual assets. So the first asset is the human asset, that's you and me, and that's going to be the first. Now, we all believe that an email, we call it a killer app for the internet. In the blockchain space, identity solutions will prove to be the killer app for blockchain. Right now, we all know we have dysfunctional systems. Each of them work in silos. We all know that a lot of people can actually create these documents also. You pay the people right amount of money, and a lot of them can actually manipulate their records. They can manipulate data. They can take out anything. We all know that. So with the blockchain-based identity systems are going to reduce the risk of security breaches, bring in higher efficiencies, reliability, and self-sovereignty. And this, my friends, is going to be not just a prediction, it's going to be the future. Already Algorand is doing this in Africa now. They're doing it with a couple of universities to start with, and then of course it'll do it with everybody else. But in the meantime, so here we go. It's the beginning, I would say. We are at the ground floor of the digital identity standard, and this is going to be the future. We will also see in the future all our, including our Aadhaar, everything, Aadhaar, election card, etc., all merging into blockchain identities. Whether we like it or not, it's going to be there. There is even talk about having blockchain-based passports in the future as well. Let's see how it goes. But at least the thought process has started, and getting a digital identity on the blockchain is the first step to it. We'll have this. By the way, this is an important part of this part, the first part. 1.5 billion people in the world do not even have a proof of identity, including more than 65 million refugees. I'll show you a little link on how we have tried to solve this problem. I'll show you how we've done this a little later. Of course, we all know the use cases of it. We know that government records, date, birth certificate, death certificate, your credit scores, attestation, credentialing, certification, degrees, everything can be there. Healthcare records, medical, all these are gonna go on the blockchain. This is just a few of them. There are many, many more, but this is just the ones which are being popularly used as we speak. Another thing we're going to do is the prediction 3, that is the emergence of virtual assets. It's already started. We may have recently heard of the term NFT, non-fungible tokens. What is a non-fungible token? Well, we'll go through what it is, but in the meantime, a non-fungible token basically is a token that is the perceived value and not the equivalent value of any currency or asset of value. So that's one. So by 2030, virtual assets. What is Bitcoin? It's a virtual asset. So now virtual assets will also have a unique identity on the blockchain. Now, by the way, in next month in India, there are going to be a virtual gold asset on the blockchain. An asset fund is coming in with virtual gold. It is backed by the bullion from different exchanges. But bottom line is, it's going to be virtual. You're not going to be holding any gold with you in your locker. You're going to hold that asset through a digital asset system on an exchange. That's happening not just in 2030. It's already starting. We are I've discussed, it's a company called Oris, and we're discussing with them in a very big way of whether they can come to India, how, and working with them from a regulatory approval as well. So another example of a virtual asset would be like CryptoKitties, fictional cats in a virtual game. That's exactly the birth of NFT. So today, a digital painting, a collectible, anything which has a value to people can be put onto a blockchain with a blockchain-based certification. And with the power of this, these virtual objects could be a virtual painting, it could be a design, it could be a game, it could be an asset created virtually, will have its own identity. And ultimately, blockchain will enable an operating system connecting individuals with assets in physical as well as virtual worlds. So welcome to the emergence of NFT, which is itself a huge subject. I'd love to talk about it sometime. The emergence of it in India has been phenomenal and growing. How it evolves in the future is still to be seen. Whether it remains 3 years from now, 5 years from now, remains to be seen. But the emergence has started. Of course, with the emergence, also, they will be built different business models, and NFT too will have to evolve over the next decade. However, the beginning is now. The emergence has started. By 2030, as the prediction says, most of the world trade would be on blockchain. Already, Dubai and India have got a blockchain corridor for their imports and exports. So by 2020, most of the world trade will be conducted on that. And that's a real important thing. Our global supply chain will be on this. In its current state, right now it's very chaotic, fragmented. Oh, there are so many middlemen, so many approvals, so many things which can actually be addressed by blockchain. It's already started. I myself am working on a couple of projects or at a very macro level. We are creating different blockchain corridors between countries where we are going to have complete transparent supply chains on the corridor for ease of trade, business, clearances, taxes, customs, levies, etc. All will be beautifully streamlined, and costs, time taken for shipping, etc., reduced tremendously. We are very chaotic right now. We all understand the different errors and fraud that take place, but that's going to be a thing of the past also, and it's begun as well. It will take time to emerge. 2030 may be too far off. Maybe by 25, 28, it'll be a lot of trading on the blockchain. So we also, okay, we can skip this part. We'll see the prediction. I have another prediction. Blockchain is going to be used for good. And good of whom? It's going to be used for the good of humanity. By 2030, improvements into the world standards of living will be attributed to the development of blockchain technology. In fact, what's happening is, I'm going to show you this as an example. I will skip this for timing, and I'm going to show you, before I end, a beautiful example. Future of cryptocurrency, I'll just briefly tell you before I show that example, which I'm telling you how blockchain is changing a lot of things. The future of cryptocurrency is like this, guys. We all know that, okay, blockchain is fine, but blockchain and cryptocurrencies are intertwined. So we cannot do away with cryptocurrencies. So I'm ending with, before I end, I want to just give you a little look into the world of cryptocurrencies. And here, let me just clearly take you to this. Yeah. Central bank authorities are busy developing regulations on cryptocurrency because they recognize that digital currencies are native to the digital economy and on the way to becoming mainstream in the next 10 years. As I said, it's not yet mainstream, but 10 years, it's going to be mainstream. So we have this, and then, cool friends, crypto will see, I'm just going to read the headlines of this right now. I'll explain that. Cryptos will see tax regulation, and that's exactly what's happening in India. We have not yet got a formula in place. We don't have our structures in place, and therefore the crypto debate in India goes on. We were supposed to settle it during the monsoon session, but it didn't happen, and that's a good sign. it's a good sign that the government is taking some more time to think about it and coming out with the right frameworks. We will also see tax regulation, there will be taxation, etc. Trend 2 will be silent crypto harbors. This is a very, very big thing which is going to happen. Now, since there's an enemy of pattern for every pattern, the presentation of crypto assessments will build appeal to opposing trading. Now, there'll be crypto havens. Have you heard of Estonia? Have you heard of Nicosia? All these are crypto havens. Singapore, Switzerland. Switzerland was a haven for many people even before crypto came. It's always been a haven. Well, it's going to be a crypto haven now. That's where people can do a lot of trading as well. And there's also going to be a crypto crisis. Well, whenever there is growth, there is a crisis. Recently, we may have heard even there was a huge hack on the Poly network, and a lot of millions of dollars worth of stuff was stolen up. But more important, the developing crypto world is not just getting more straightforward. There are too many things to know about it, and many people unaware, and therefore there is going to be a crisis. For everything, there is a crisis, and during the crisis come out solutions. Just like our blockchain crisis, 2008, when the financial crisis, 2008, when blockchain and cryptocurrency emerged. More risk assessment models will improve. Risk assessment, well, it's going to be completely based on the modeling of now the cryptos. Lots of things are happening, lots of compliances, administrations are now not just simply computerized fortune telling, but actually now going to do they're actually going to invest in a lot of manpower, technology for the solutions of the future. So the risk modeling is going to also improve thanks to cryptos. Cost of transactions, earlier mentioned, will also change. 5G will reinvent lots and be very transformative. Now we are talking about 5G coming to India. When it comes, it's going to have a worldview, the speed, the costs, everything, the capacities. It'll not be restricted to just speed, etc. 5G will fundamentally change the high recurrence exchange portion, and that's going to bring down a lot of costs and dormancy and latency in the crypto world. The emergence of DeFi. This is going to be the biggest game changer for the next 10 years. Decentralized finance services will be the biggest trend in the crypto world, not only in 2021, but from 2021 onwards. Projects have built a lot of foundation. And with the growth of Ethereum, now we recently know there was an Ethereum fork also in London just a few weeks back. And that has actually brought down transactions. You can make cheaper applications, better applications, more secure applications. DeFi is changing, and there's going to be a DeFi boom coming in. Stable coins will also be there. As we all know that there are coins that are assets of value, there are storage coins, and then there are stable coins. Stable coins are pegged to $1 or something which is an exchange. It's linked to something, unlike the Bitcoin, which is not stable, which is a speculative coin also, or an asset of value. So, by 2020, the volume of stable coins, by the way, has increased. Dollar-pegged stable coins are going to become big now onwards, and Tether and USDC being the market leaders. Stable coins are one of the trending crypto coins today because that's what stabilizes the pricing, especially when you're creating applications on the blockchain. Investors are also using them to protect themselves from the usual crypto market volatility. It's like a hedge against speculative coins. CBDCs, we all know, are coming in. Many countries, including India, are part of a CBDC consortium, which is the central bank digital currencies. As I told you, Nigeria is launching one now recently, as recent as October. The Indian RBI is toying with that right now. China, Philippines, all of them are coming up with their CBDCs. US, UK, of course, are going to be creating tokenized money. There's a lot of chatter in USA, but not much done, but it's going to happen there as well. Finally, cryptos will go public. It's already happening. In a day, I get at least a half a dozen companies approaching us to make their cryptos go mainstream, which is one of the things in blockchain is going to also happen. So as a consulting person, as a consulting company in blockchain space, we are now looking at at least half a dozen companies coming every day to us to ask us to take them to go public. All can't go public. All will not go public However, they are coming, and cryptos will go public. We'll have to make way for what is known as an exchange traded fund. Crypto lovers are looking forward to it this year. It'll take some time because the US has rejected it 3 times even before this. Nonetheless, once they get approved, and they will get approved, most traders will invest in cryptocurrencies instead of having exchange wallets. This is going to be a massive boom in the crypto world. All these trends are good to hear, some easy to understand, some not so easy to understand. I've already told you about the non-fungible tokens. And yes, finally, millennials' interest in crypto is going to go massive. Today, everyone asks me, first they ask me, shall I invest in Bitcoins or crypto? They don't ask me, what is blockchain? How is it going to help? They don't ask me that. Millennials are a different breed altogether. What we see from all these trends, my friends, is trends are trends. But why are these so powerful? Why are there so many trends? Because it's a veritably new technology. It's new for several people. As I told you, even after 10 years, I'm learning. I learn every day. 4 or 5 days give us great awareness. But if really blockchain is to be pursued with a persistence and consistency, because it's changing rapidly. Even a CBDC 2 years back, whoever thought that the Reserve Bank would actually consider CBDCs or be part of a consortium which discusses CBDCs? No one. A country as small as, as well, people say it's not very significant, but it is, Nigeria, it has a lot more action on the blockchain space than even India. Why is that? It's happening because all countries want to break through, grow, and they are creating a tokenized economy. Now, before I say anything else, before I end, I want to show you something. A little bit, 5 minutes, I'll show you a little thing on how we're going to have, how tokenization is really helping in a very, very big way for everybody. Let me show you that. That will make you understand a little better how we can actually use this for a better world. 1 sec, here we go. Yes, we have this. Okay. I would really like you to use this. Whatever I have said in terms of the future, well, here is a site which I'm showing you, which is actually practicing almost everything what I've spoken about. A tokenized economy, an own CBDC, their own currency, their own inclusive platform. Well, we must have heard of the Rohingyas. Everybody knows about that there is a community called the Rohingya Community. And here's what it is. What we've done for the Rohingyas. The Rohingyas are all over the world. If you see where they are, well, they're everywhere. Here we go. There are about 3.5 million different displaced Rohingyas worldwide. With Saudi having about 300,000, India 40,000. Bangladesh has got the maximum. 13 lakhs are in Bangladesh, Thailand, Indonesia. So they're all spread out. What is their problem? Their problem is they don't have a state. For 30 years, they're living in limbo. They don't have any idea where they're going. Or they have been kicked out by people, by countries, by communities. So here is what blockchain did for them and the crypto. They brought in the tokenization economy for them. I'm very proud to be associated with this project in the sense that it is not for only the Rohingya community, it can be a solution for all communities. And that's the future. So what did we do? We created a financial and social inclusion platform on the blockchain. We are digitally empowering the stateless. It's a very beautiful initiative, completely on the blockchain. So I talked about digital identities. Bang! At a micro level, the RID or the Rohingya ID is their own ID within it's a community platform. So it's a community platform, not for mainstream, but all communities are part of mainstream world. And this is going to extrapolate everywhere else outside later on. So RID. Then we've created a token for them called the R coin. I talked about a tokenized economy. I talked about digital identity on the blockchain. These are two in use cases happening right now. We also put an R historical archive. That is the basis of blockchain. Documents that cannot be altered, changed, and secured are in the archive. We also created an R Academy where We have a lot of people who volunteered to share their knowledge, including ourselves, who they basically teach them different skills for the future. So we created an academy to try online education for stateless people, refugees, other marginalized population. I could go on and on about this, but bottom line is, this is what it does. If you just see this video, you'll understand, and then we can wrap it up. So I wanted to wrap it up with that, because that's, again, blockchain for good. Yes, blockchain for inclusiveness, blockchain for identity, blockchain for financial stability. Blockchain can actually do this. And that's why, again, it's called an institutional technology, not just an information technology. So with that, I would like to say thank you, my friends, for listening in. I think we are out of time now. But if you have any questions for me, I'll be very, very happy to take them. And this is just the tip of the icebergs. I could probably go on the whole day, but that's no point. We can have more sessions some other time if you like. But in the meantime, thank you from my side, friends.
All right. Thank you, sir. Any question from the participant side? Any question from the participant side, please?
I think they're all good.
Right. Yeah, good. All good, sir. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Raj Kapoor, for sharing your vast experience and enlighten us in the future trend in blockchain technology, how blockchain chain accelerate transaction. And sir, you explain its impact so clearly in a simple words, which will surely benefit the audience. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, man. Thank you so much for having me here. Happy to come anytime for anybody in the audience, and for you. Take care.
It's our pleasure, sir. Thank you. Take care. You too, sir.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Bye-bye, sir. Take care. देखा लोबियाल सर आगे नहीं
ये प्लेट पपीता खाया मैंने ये प्लेट पपीता खाया बस ना इतना तो भाई खाना है आज दोस्त
पूछो पूछो। Lobial sir, are you there? आगे सर।
हेलो।
आगे लोबियाल सर, डी के लोबियाल।
हेलो।
यस सर, अनम्यूट करना। Yes sir, good, unmute करो। Yes sir, good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग।
Right. So shall we start with?
हाँ हाँ।
Okay, camera on. All right, now moving forward, we honor to have among us our next speaker of the day, Professor Dr. D.K. Lobial from Jawaharlal Nehru University. Professor Lobial obtained his PhD in computer science, natural language processing in 1996. Sir has been engaged in teaching and research in the university for the last 21 years. During this period, more than 25 PhD and around 50 MTech students have been awarded degree under his supervision. His area of research interests include wireless network, ad hoc sensors, natural language processing, computational neuroscience. He has published more than 90 research articles in the international journals of repute, including IEEE, Elsewhere, Wiley, and Springer. Besides academics, Professor Lobial has been involved in administrative and other universities' activities. He has held the position of Director, Internal Quality Assessment Cell, JNU Advisor, Equal Opportunity Office, JNU Hostel Warden. He has been twice the President of JNU, University Teacher Association, President and Secretary JNU Faculty Club. He has served in various academic activities, bodies of the university's organization. Now, I would request Professor Lobial to take us into the deep ocean of his knowledge on blockchain-based wireless network. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Siddhalama.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, shall I share my slides first?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
It's
not coming.
नहीं अभी मुझे just 1 minute. It is showing join. Just 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
आ गया ना?
सर अभी नहीं आया.
अभी मुझे शायद राइट नहीं आ नहीं रहा उस पे.
सर
देख के जरा स्लाइड्स हो.
सर आपको प्रेजेंटर बनाया हुआ है सर.
नहीं दिखा नहीं रहा है, इनेबल नहीं कर रहा है.
इनेबल नहीं कर रहा.
अच्छा कुछ गड़बड़ है, 1 मिनट रुकना.
हाँ जी सर. किसी
और का आ रहा है ना. मैं एक बार लॉग आउट करूँ क्या, ऐसा लग रहा है मुझे.
ठीक है सर.
गड़बड़ अब आ गया. ठीक है ना, आ गया.
ओके सर.
तो
Yes, sir. It's coming now, I think.
यहाँ नहीं दिख रहा मुझे. 1 मिनट.
अभी आएगा सर. I think it's
स्लो है क्या है, देखता हूँ.
हाँ कुछ ऐसा है.
आ गया.
नहीं सर, not yet. I think it will come. अभी आपका नाम आ रहा है. I think it will. Yes sir, it's there. Yes sir, it's
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can zoom it. Yes sir.
अभी मैं इसको
F5 कर दीजिएगा सर. देखिए.
हाँ कर दिया.
Okay, okay.
आ गया या पावर प्रेजेंटेशन मोड में?
प्रेजेंटेशन मोड पे आ गया. मैक्सिमाइज नहीं हुआ है अभी सर.
अच्छा, यहाँ तो दिखा रहा है पर
अच्छा, हो सकता है. ठीक. तो वो स्टेटस बार में नीचे वाला जूम वाला कीजिएगा. उस पे. हाँ जी. Right then I think it will come.
मैं तो
Yes sir, you are doing it. Fine sir, we can start like this.
एक मिनट है. स्टेटस बार में किसमें है?
नीचे ही है सर. ये जो जहाँ वॉल्यूम बता रहा है ना, वॉल्यूम इज कमिंग.
ये इधर एक मिनट, उधर ही मैं देख रहा हूँ.
हाँ जी.
मोर एक्शन में स्टॉप शेयरिंग म्यूट.
सर आपने शेयर पूरा डेस्कटॉप को किया है क्या? तो ठीक
नहीं, मैंने स्क्रीन विंडो किया है.
सर
पूरा कर दूं क्या?
पूरा करने से पूरा आ जाएगा. आई होप सर. या
ओके. हाँ, वो मेरे को भी मिला. एक बार स्टॉप करते हैं.
यस सर. यस सर.
इंटायर स्क्रीन है ना?
यस सर, इंटायर स्क्रीन. देन इट शुड कम.
इसमें आ नहीं रहा.
अभी तो नहीं आ रहे थे. स्क्रीन तो हुई है आपकी शेयर सर.
लेकिन वो
अब पीपीटी आप कर लीजिएगा. हाँ जी. हाँ,
पीपीटी
इट हैज कम नाउ. या एक जूम आप एक
आ गया?
हाँ, पीपीटी तो आ गई है सर.
अच्छा.
हाँ जी. पीपीटी अब फिर इट्स गॉन.
तो मैंने तो पूरा स्क्रीन ही शेयर किया.
हाँ जी. हाँ जी सर. पीपीटी नहीं आ रही है अभी. स्क्रीन आ रहा है आपका जी.
हाँ वही.
अब पीपीटी
मुझे मिला.
हाँ, पहले आ रहा था
पीपीटी
पहले आ रहा था.
वो विंडोज में आ रहा था जब पीपीटी को ही क्लिक किया था मैंने.
अच्छा, जस्ट अभी भी आया था वैसे तो सर.
एक मिनट बंद करके ओपन करता हूँ.
राइट सर.
यहाँ स्क्रीन शेयर पे दिखा नहीं रहा, विंडो करने में दिखा रहा है.
ओके, ठीक है सर. विल डू लाइक दैट ओनली सर.
विंडो में करते हैं.
ठीक है. यस सर. यस सर, इट्स देयर.
ओके.
फाइन.
ओके, लेट मी start.
Yes sir.
Anyway, thank you for inviting, and Dr. Tripti and your director and other organizers who have invited me to deliver this talk. And I think I have been giving this talk after a long time.
All right.
Because I was off. Am I audible?
Yes sir, you are audible sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I chose this topic because the conference and the workshop is on blockchain. Though I don't work in, but I was going through certain papers, survey papers on blockchain integration with the wireless network while sitting at home during Corona. So I read some papers. So based on that, I thought, why not to deliver a lecture where blockchain technology can be used in the wireless network. And primarily this blockchain is useful in 5G networks. This is how I will begin with. Then I will talk of, let me begin how my whole lecture will go. See, I'll talk on the wireless network, that especially on 5G, because the entire issue of blockchain is related to 5G network and coming 6G networks. So before I really go into the blockchain, because there have been plenty of lectures on blockchain technology for last 1 week. And I don't need to talk on the blockchain, but however, how can this be integrated or can be used in the wireless? That's important, and that is 5G. And so therefore, the flow of the lecture will be, I'll talk a little bit of the 5G network where people will understand what 5G network is. And then from the point of view where blockchain can be used in the 5G, that's what I'll talk of blockchain and little bit of its characteristic. I'll not go how the blockchain consists of, because you have heard plenty of lectures, it will be boring. And even I don't know in that detail, to be very frank. So short review so that we can build up the lecture further. Then I'll talk of how this blockchain has been integrated with the 5G. Then it becomes an enabling technology for 5G in a sense, multiple not only applications, also the services of the 5G are also integrated. And then there are certain challenges. If you integrate blockchain with the 5G, it puts its own challenges, though it solves certain issues of 5G, but it also brings with new challenges that one has to keep, because blockchain itself has certain challenges. So because of these challenges, there are certain open research issues, which I'll talk towards the end. So the idea is not to go in depth, because I myself have not worked yet, but I have gone through certain papers. So based on that, whatever knowledge I gained, I thought I should share, and therefore you will get a reference to those knowledge base. That's the whole idea is. Let me begin with the wireless network, little bit to make a what you call build up. Let me go, and what I'll talk in this is I have to focus on 5G, but before I go on 5G, to understand 5G, you must understand how we reach to the 5G shortly, quickly, and then we can talk and see it. Now, if you look at this growth of whole 5G has to be come by 2020, but it did not come because of the pandemic. But it is supposed to come by 2020-22, but I doubt that it will be deployed all across the world by 2022, because still there are a lot of issues which are with the 5G. But yes, in certain countries it has been tried. In Seoul Olympic, I think 2016 was tried, but still it has a lot of challenges and issues before it can be deployed. And this pandemic has also put a lot of challenges, economic challenges for the network operators. That also is. And the idea is that it will give you a very good speed of in gigabits, right? That's the whole idea. Now, how do you move? Hello?
Slide is not moving. Slide is not going, sir. Slide is still in the first page.
Okay, okay. Just wait. ये slide mode में नहीं जाता है ना? ऐसे करेंगे तो जाएगा. So I'll remove from the slide mode. Let me go with this.
ठीक है.
And I'll go and then I'll first change and then go on slide mode. Okay. So what I said is this is how we see that how the growth has gone, but that's not an important slide. Let me put it this way. Now changing. Now slide is changing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we move from 1G to 2G, 2G to 3, then 4, 5. That's what with a quick time I'll build up. See, the first G was an analog system having a very bulky handsets. And the security was a big problem in 1G because apps drops, phone cloning, and identity stealing was a big issue. And the fragmentation, that means nothing called like GSM, that there's no global network, and therefore every country was using its own network. So there's a fragmentation. And cost was too high, only wealthy people was able to do. And the quality and capacity of analog system was very low. And therefore, we moved to the 2G for to resolve the issues of 1G, where the bulky handset fragmentation and high cost. To reduce that, we moved to 2G. That's quickly I'll move. And then, but 2G has its own challenges and issues. 2G was totally a digital communication and with added security because you use DSS, direct sequence spectrum, so that you can have. Then you introduced CDMA in 2G also, and Europe started with the GSM, which became a global standard, and we also follow GSM. And therefore, the quality of voice improved because of digital communication. And since we use GSM, therefore, the roaming also became possible in 2G. Look at how 2G has improved over 1G. And then we also introduced a data service called SMS, small short message service, which was integration of data and what you call voice calls together. That was another advantage of 2G. But yes, it became highly successful, and handsets also improved, and it became smaller in size. Now, but it has its own challenges. That's why we moved from 2G to 3G. The problem with the 2G was it was low data rate, 300, not even 384, even less than that kilobits per second. So it was not able to deliver the data which are attractive in the internet services. So no internet service that way if you look at 2G. And no multimedia services, no video technology. You cannot add pictures to the text in 2G. And the spectrum efficiency was limited. That means, what is the spectrum efficiency means? That means per gigahertz or megahertz, how many users can be accommodated. That is how we look at the spectrum efficiency. That 1 megahertz frequency spectrum caters to 1,000 users, if you subscribers. That is how we'll define the spectrum efficiency. So there is a limited spectrum efficiency, so difficult to enable video and audio services. And the cell range was small. Now, if you use cellular phones, you cannot communicate with your handset to a longer distance if the tower is at a longer distance. So tower has to be at a smaller distance. So if the tower is at a smaller distance, you need multiple towers to cover a given area. That was the difficulty. So this gave rise to evolution of 3G, slowly addressed these issues, but at the same time, because we have what you call edge technology, or we have other kind of 3.5G services came. All right. So now, so what happens if 3G initially aimed at using a CDMA spectral efficiency? Except we'll use CDMA rather than what you call PDMA or FDMA, first generation FDMA, second generation TDMA, including FDMA as well. But third generation, they talk of using CDMA, code division multiplexes, so that the spectral efficiency can be increased. That is, per megahertz, you can have more number of subscribers or users. And that's what the idea was. So to provide high data rate for video service, so if the spectral efficiency increases, probably you can provide some kind of video service. And other idea was to move from circuit switch to packet switching. That means you don't need a you are not only depending on the complete hardware for switching. So it is hardware plus your software packets were switched from input buffer to the output buffer. Even if you don't have a link available, whenever the link available, you can transmit. That was the idea. And the important point is the invention of the iPhone, or discovery of invention of the iPhone was important, which made 3G popular, because this transformed the large screen size and graphics, which gave rise to internet browsing. But iPhones were very costly, but that is why it has not been able to penetrate the way it should have penetrated. But definitely this showed the way and causes rapid growth in the data and demand. But 3G did not become highly successful technology. Keep one thing in mind, 2G was a very successful technology. 3G is not, even people talking 4G is not that highly successful. Therefore, some people, those who believe in some kind of, say, odd generations are successful, not successful, even generations are more successful. So 5G may not be, then 6G will be. That's how people put their belief system. After having said this, Let me put it this way. The problem of 3G was a slow evolution. That is what you said, long-term evolution came. Difficulty in effective implementation of CDMA was not implemented very effectively. That's how 3G failed, basically. We have HSPA came later to improve the data rate. And latency was, the delay was still unacceptably long. That means one of the aim is to reduce the delay between the devices. That's very important point. Not only devices, if I'm using TCP/IP, and then what is the maximum delay I get if I'm interacting on the internet internationally? So high data rate did not improve latency because you can get data, but it comes slow. Then small screen size phones, so difficult in browsing internet services, that also, and then how to accommodate that, these challenges came. So the difficulty with mixing circuit and packet switching, because if you remember, if you use voice over IP, VoIP, then your voice breaks because you are using, because voice is a circuit switch service and the data is a packet switch. So in a packet network, IP network, you are using voice. So therefore, what you find is when your voice is going through packets, there is a more delay, and therefore your voice gets broken in between. You are not able to clearly listen to the conversation. So that's the difficulty. So this resulted in reduced network efficiency and difficult to manage. And therefore, the 4G came to address these issues. Now, see, the 4G came with the orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. Just 1 minute. I'll put my video. I'll put my video. Just 1 minute. So 4G came as a it is visible, no?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Yes.
Okay. It was based on orthogonal frequency division multiplexing, and it was fully IP based. It removed circuit switching, and the various voice carried by packet switched called voice over long term. If you are using 4G network, you find VOLT is written appears on your mobile phone. So you are using a voice over LT long term evolution, which is 4G. So it will use packet switching, not circuit switching. That means there's an improvement in this. Further, wider frequency channel thus improved latency because we used different frequency band as well. It is a stable and data optimized network. 4G is considered to be stable and data optimized network. Even people see that till now, whatever you want to achieve, probably 4G is achieving. So why do we need to have 5G? That's what a discussion comes at times where the network operator has to spend a lot of money. And the spectral efficiency is 2.5 times more than 3G. That's the real great achievement in 4G because of frequency division multiplexing, OFDM. And 4G became highly successful technology. It runs. Now, other limitations to 4G, and therefore we move to 5G, and then I'll talk a little bit of 5G and then blockchain. So still 4G does not provide sufficiently large data rate. If you have to have an interactive video game, you want to play a video game on the internet, probably 4G will not be giving you the data rate required, or augmented reality, where you have to mix up the virtual reality and it has to be augmented with the reality, or the real and video transfer has to be augmented with the virtuality. So then it needs a very high data rate, and 4G is not still able to deal with such kind of applications. That's one. And the other issue is you need to connect a massive number of devices together. If you talk of IoT services, then probably this 4G will not support that many devices. So latency still is a big issue. 4G does not provide the latency, low latency you need for virtual reality or interactive gaming. So therefore, it was said that the 5G will address those issues. But let's see what 5G does quickly, and then we'll go on blockchain. If you look at each generation has a theme, and 1G to 2G to 3G to 4G. The aim has been to speed up the data rate, faster data rate, one, and large volume of data has to be transmitted. That was the whole idea. So 5G has multiple themes. One, 5G provides enhanced mobile broadband EMB service that will provide a faster connectivity than 4G. Second is massive machine connectivity to connect multiple devices where Internet of Things will be possible. Then another aim or theme of 5G was to provide a lower latency, which 4G was not able to prove. So for that, it has to provide radio solutions which can support virtual reality. So 3 and enhance. Let me put on a little bit on this, and then I'll go. So if you go on technology, that we have to have MIMO, which 4G was using. 5G will scale up the MIMO, that is from 8 antenna in 4G to it will provide 128 antenna in 5G. So look at if your base station had 128 antenna, simultaneously it can cover large number of users. That's what that is called a massive MIMO in 5G. It will be able to support your IoT, multiple devices together. Another issue is that your core technology, the switching network, also should have certain flexibility. That means one, it should provide virtualization. That means your multiple network services should come on software rather than on hardware. One, that means your routing and your network management should not have different instrument or different equipment. Same equipment with different software running virtually can run both together. That's one. And also it talks of software defined radios where some of the hardware services will be brought to the software. That's the basic what you call advantage of 5G. Also, the 5G should also utilize cloud services, and vice versa. Also, for clouded 5G can be useful, but 5G should also utilize clouded. Like if I say network virtualization, this has come from the cloud virtualization. That was the basic theme of 5G. Now, 2-3 things before I move to the next portion of my lecture. So 5G provides users 3 spectrum, 3 bands. One is 700 megahertz. If you look at current mobile system, use 2.5 gigahertz or 5.2 gigahertz, and some provide 800, 900 megahertz band. Sorry, 2.5 gigahertz or 5.2 gigahertz. And initially it has been providing 800, 900 megahertz as well. But 5G said it will provide 700 megahertz, which will provide a large coverage. If you go to the rural India, where everything is very clear, so you can your signal can travel to a longer distance on the low frequency. So where the population is thin, you need a large coverage. Then it provides a mid band at 3.5 gigahertz, where I said EMB services can be provided. That means in normal course, you can have a service as your normal network provides 2.5 and 5.2 gigahertz. An important band is 28 gigahertz band, which will be used in the very dense area, if you are in a dense area, use this frequency, because you can enable, you can use large number of devices together, because the bandwidth is very high, but it will be a small distance communication. So the way you are using Wi-Fi at home, your Wi-Fi runs at 200 gigahertz, how many devices can be connected together and how many users can work together. So it will be a fixed wireless access service, what you call home broadband wireless service. So this is how it can be seen. So now the question is, since it works on 3 bands, therefore its integration or its compatibility with the existing networks, with the existing 4G and 3G is very important. So it needs a massive changes. आपको सारे टावर बदलने पड़ेंगे जो 700, 3.5 and 28 gigahertz, but they must work on that. But current towers does not work on these frequencies. So in addition to the existing infrastructure, the mobile operator had to change its infrastructure. So that is a huge cost for the mobile operators, where they are hesitant to spend money. That's a big challenge for 5G implementation. Now, this technology aims that it provide higher data rate in order to improve the user experience and good throughput and radio spectrum. That's what 5G needs. So the idea is it should provide 100% coverage, geographic coverage, and you should be able to use network even you are in a fast-moving train using your multimeter waves, and it must provide a very low latency so that your services like virtual reality can be dealt with. That's what the idea was. But let me quickly, okay. So the idea is it must provide 1,000 times increase in the mobile data volume. Per day, whatever volume of data is being transmitted on the network, current network, it must provide 1,000 times increase. That's what the whole idea. And there will be 10 to 100 times increase in the connected devices. And there's an estimate that there will be 500 billion devices connected to the internet by 2030. 500 billion. That's what it is. And also, it must provide 5 times lower latency. 4G provides a latency up to 30 milliseconds in a very congested network, or it will have a latency of 50 milliseconds. But if you need a lower latency like than this, if you are using interactive gaming and virtual augmented reality, then it may need even less than 10 millisecond delay. That's what 5G is trying to aim at. Then 10 to 100 times increase in the peak data rate. I'm not talking of the volume, per day kitna data hai, but at the peak time, at what rate the data is being transmitted. It says from the current network, it should be able to transmit 10 to 100 times. 10 times battery life expansion is equally important, because the mobile services have a big problem with the battery life. So it should also focus on that. I'll quickly hit this. So what it says is delivering 1,000-fold increase in volume of data is a very ambitious one, and 500 times better than that achieved with the 4G is also very ambitious. Lowering the latency up to 1 millisecond is very harder to achieve, but still efforts are being made. That is what probably people talking about to move to 6G also, which we'll not talk in this lecture. These are certain what you call 5G will try to provide highlight access to the cloud services, augmented reality, high definition video, high speed data access, automation, mission critical mission, IoT, M2M or D2D opportunities, because I'll use certain terms later on. These are certain applications. I'm not going in detail, where you can have broadband access in a dense area. It must be able to provide you connectivity all the time. Broad access. Second one is It must be able to provide you service everywhere. If you are in a fast-moving train passing through a tunnel, it must give you services. High user mobility, that is what the fast-moving train, or even in the rural India, if that EMB band will provide a second one everywhere. If you are in the rural area, you should not find that there is no network connectivity. So EMB band is made for that. And high user mobility is if your train is passing fast through the tunnel, it must be able to provide the network connectivity. And then M2M, a massive machine, it should be able to provide you a huge number of devices connected to the massive Internet of Things. Then extreme real time, that means in a disaster management, there's a real time service where communication must be provided in extreme conditions. Life saving communication when you are, like your surgery is going on, or ultra reliable communication where e-health, other issue comes, and broadcast like services where television can also come through the internet, 5G. Though it comes right now with the 3G, but it has its own limitation. That's what the whole application area is. I'll quickly skip these slides, few slides here. This I have explained rather than, okay. Let us come to this. There are certain challenges of 5G, security challenges. One of the challenge is the network reliability, because you have massive amount of device and number of devices will be connected, and therefore, and if you are connecting a large number of devices, then probably the security challenge is big. So with the massive machine connectivity, network reliability is going to be compromised. How to take care of that reliability? And data immutability, that means your data should not be changed in between. How do you ensure that? And third is the privacy, that I, as an individual user, if I'm transmitting my data, how do it maintains my privacy of the data? And the big challenge is, until unless these three challenges of 5G are solved, 5G network cannot be deployed. That's what the big challenge is. That's what one. So therefore, now the question comes, you might be hearing blockchain for last 1 week. It talks about, it is basically a decentralized database where you don't put blockchain database as a centralized location. The public ledgers are not put at a centralized location, and they are immutable. You can't change the transaction that easily. It's a transparent database in a sense. Those nodes which are sharing the blockchain, it must transparently go to them without making a change into that. Then that kind of transparency it provides. It's accountability also, that any change made, who will be accountable. Truly trustless in a sense. You don't need to make a central authority which will be able to handle the trust between two parties communicating in a network. Without two parties, there is centralized trust certificate, whatever you call mechanism, where two peers can directly communicate with each other, maintaining all security, privacy, and transparency of the data. That's what truly trustlessness is, where blockchain technology is a peer-to-peer network service. So, sorry. And that's what the basic fundamental characteristics. But you have heard many things about blockchain technology. You might have heard of the ledgers and the contract, everything you have heard of. So I'm not going in those details, but I'll use those terms here while I'm delivering this lecture. So one of the enabling service, because I saw the chart and there's a lecture on blockchain technology for cloud computing. Therefore, I'm not going in, but this is one of the enabling 5G technology, cloud computing in a sense. Cloud will be helpful for 5G technology, because when you do network virtualization, the clouds can be useful there. as far as storage is concerned, as far as running the virtual network is concerned. So I can have a different slice for that I'll talk about, because 5G has four important parts. Whether I put here or not, I'll talk. One is software-defined radios. It works on network virtualization. It works on network slicing. Network slicing means a different kind of applications can be on the same network, on the same devices, by having different software modules can be run simultaneously on the same device. That means you don't need a separate device which will be work as a firewall. The firewall is a software, but it runs on a dedicated hardware, right? Generally it happens. Then you have a separate router. Why can't I have a router and everything running on that? So that means what? In a single hardware device, I can run multiple softwares. Then one virtualized software is running my firewall, one is running my routing, one is running my, that is what called network virtualization. But at the same time, while my router is providing a services, it can create different networks, virtual networks. In a sense, it can create a network which carries the voice data, a network which soft in terms of virtual, network which carries the data, one network which carries the video services, say for telephone services, audio service, then data service, then video service. I can, one network, I can run as a 3 different network, but by virtualization. That is called my network slicing. I have divided my network into different slices. One slice runs audio service, say, one slice runs video service, one slice runs what you call data service. Why the slicing is important? Because every network has a different resource requirement. Like your voice service has a constant rate traffic is required. For video, you need very high data rate, but even certain delays can be managed. At times, voice, the delay cannot be tolerated, where data services can be delayed as well. So I can have 3 different applications running as a 3 different network, but using the same hardware resources. That is what network slicing means. So 5G has network slicing, network virtualization, and this can be achieved through a software-defined radio. These are the technology which used as the core of the network, but these put certain challenges as well, right? That is what we'll talk about, and therefore the blockchain can be useful in that. So cloud computing, if I use for my 5G technology, it ensures data availability, and there is a privacy management, there is a data integrity issue, and in the cloud, the security of the data is very, very important. It can be compromised. So lack of immutability is the issue in the cloud, and the lack of transparency. If you make a private cloud, probably there can be an issue of transparency. So where can the blockchain be useful? That's what we talk about. The blockchain technology could be very, very important because it provides you immutability. It works on what you call, in fact, in the crypto and hash technique. Therefore, data integrity and privacy can be managed through this. And since it does not depend on the centralized one, whereas the cloud has a server, but can I have sorry. So this, you might have heard many lectures, therefore I thought I will not go much details of the cloud. So is for the edge computing, because at the edge you have a bandwidth issue, you have a storage issue, you don't have a very fast computing devices, how to manage that. Therefore many things can be compromised at that. See, if I look at the edge of the network that the device is working are small Wi-Fi devices, probably they can be, their security can be compromised. Where blockchains can be useful, if a massive device is connected at the edge of the computing and sharing the bandwidth, therefore how to manage that. The blockchain technology can be useful there by making a peer-to-peer network, device-to-device communication, and each device is independent, and therefore they can share by using blockchains. That's where the edge computing, blockchain for edge computing can be used. And in a software-defined radio, when you're creating different what you call applications, different softwares of a network resources using, as I said, firewall as well as a router, same device can be used. Then the security can be, somebody may peep into and can create an application which is as a router, and he'll route all the traffic to his own direction wherever one wants to. So therefore, the security threat is there also if you are using software-defined radio. Where blockchains can be useful, because if you make it central control, then there is a bottleneck at the central control. What software-defined radio is, there is a centralized control right now, and it is not decentralized. Blockchain provides you decentralized security. That means data can be managed at multiple nodes, and therefore, in a software-defined radio, when you are creating multiple applications or virtualization, and the blockchain can be helpful for authorization as well as for contracts. If you have studied, the contract is one of the key issue of blockchain technology. All those who are sharing the contract, only they can create blocks of the chain and can add to the block. That is what. So if you're using software-defined radio in 5G, the blockchain can be useful to provide authentication as well as your contract, so that it provides you the privacy, everything, right? And as I said, full network decentralization. Now also network management separately, because you run separate software and run it. And while you are doing this management, nobody can see the devices without a central control when they manage the devices in a 5G. Then the blockchains can always help in providing the authentication. Now, the most important issue is there's some sound from.
Yes, sir. Let me check, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you go on network virtualization in 5G, one is you also you have network functions which virtualizes the infrastructure, right? Which resource has to be used where. Second is the virtualization of network functions. That means for different network function, you have a different virtual process running. So one is virtualization of network function. Other is the virtualization of the hardware or the infrastructure. Second is how to manage the network. Sorry, and orchestration of the network, how to keep the balance between the different network management objects. Now, when you have these three objectives, you are going to compromise certain security issues. That's what I said. The blockchain can be useful for network virtualization. How do you compromise with? Any invader can create a virtual network function, and therefore your network is compromised. And as far as network virtualization for infrastructure is concerned, I'll put my device as a router and then say, okay, I create a virtual network, and then everything is so. If you have a blockchain technology used for that, that is where we said we will have the security of virtualization. That's where this 5G technology is being, or the blockchain for 5G technology is being envisaged right now. Not much research has been done yet. That one has to keep in mind. This is what recently from 2000, basically 19, or I have seen papers coming in this direction from 2019 and 20, not more than 2 years, but actual progress has not been yet made. Third is, I said, the slicing. When you do slicing, for different applications, there is a different resource requirement. Some needs more memory, some needs more CPU time, some needs more storage. And then different application running on the network requires different resources. And when you are doing slicing on the same device, different softwares are running, or virtual different applications are running as a different network, and they are carrying these services. When you're allocating resources, how do you fairly allocate those resources? Somebody who is masquerader or what you call mischievous can grab more resources than somebody else. And if you have a centralized network allocation mechanism, then it's a bottleneck and it will have too much load on the network to have a centralized control. But in the entire big network, you cannot have a centralized control. So you have to have decentralization of the allocation of resources, and that to it in the network slicing, then I'll create my own network slice and then grab all the resources if I'm an invader. That is the big lapse. So to deal such situations, the blockchain can work because it is decentralized, I'm repeating, and it also provide you the security and it will have a contract so that every peer node will share the contract. Therefore, only they can add and they can add things to the network. And same is with the D2 to device. In a local area, I am in JNU, if multiple devices are connected together, they should have a direct communication. Why should the traffic should go to the router at some place in Delhi and then it should come back to the other device in JNU? Why can't they have a straight? Like if I call a person in JNU with mobile phone, it will go to the tower. From the tower, it may other tower may not be. Then it may go to a MSC and or then from that MSC it will go to the. Why can't my mobile gateway communicate with the mobile of the other person in JNU? That's what D2D communication. And when you make it open, this puts a big security challenge. Everybody is connected with everybody, and it becomes a peer-to-peer network. And then again, blockchain is useful for such situations. Sorry. Other issue which comes with the 5G services is the spectrum management. When you go on the cognitive radio, when you try to share the spectrum, and the 5G will also be sharing the resources. Multiple operators will share the bandwidth. When the spectrum is being shared, then everybody will sense the channel, the primary user and the secondary user. And then depending on the sensing, one will grab the spectrum. That's the big problem. So not anybody can grab the spectrum. Only those who are authorized one will take the spectrum, and they can be managed at that how much they need. So one of the important aspects of the resource management, if you go beyond what you call, I'm not talking of the memory and this, but spectrum management is equally important, where the security breach should not be there, that people should not have an unfair distribution by breaching the security of the spectrum management. So the blockchain could be one of the technology which can be used for spectrum management. And so is the data sharing is very common. Network virtual I have talked about. Resource management. Another issue is the interference management. So when you talk on the network, 5G will have a small cells at times. If you are using 28 gigahertz band, then the cells will be very small because higher frequency travels to a shorter distance. And when you have small cells, then you have more number of cells. And therefore, the chances of co-channel interference will be high. So how to manage that co-channel interference? So that means you are sharing the channel as a resource, right? If there is an interference among 5 cells, then we'll grab the channel and we'll use this co-channel at this point of time. So there could be the blockchain technology could also be used there, because 2 devices or 2 cells will manage, will use this by sharing their contract, or what you call by using a blockchain technology. That is where the security comes into. The third issue is that federal learning. That means independently, without a central control, each node in the network can learn from the data. Learn from the data means if I analyze I do the data analytics, I use the data which is traveling on the network. Can this be used for the better management of the network? That is what federal learning is. Without that, all data will travel to a central location, then it will analyze, then say, oh, who needs how much resources, what happens. No, better than based on the past data, can I learn that how the resources should be managed in a given network? How many virtual nodes should be created, right? How many slices should be created? How do you do that? That should be based on learning of the past data or past experience. And that should be federal learning, which distributed, that each node should be able to learn without a centralized management. Now, that will also put a greater challenge, because data storage will be a big challenge. When I talk of challenge, that I look at. So federal learning is another where the blockchain can be used. Now, this is the last part of the lecture, and that is what I'll put. The key challenge is in the using blockchain with the 5G. The key challenge is the blockchain, the performance of the blockchain and scalability issue is a big issue, right? How blockchains perform and whether they are scalable or not is a big issue. Because the use of blockchain will reduce the performance throughput. The storage is a huge requirement for blockchain that you have been hearing for last 1 week. And the networking, I'm talking of the bandwidth and latency, is a big bottleneck for the performance of the blockchain and scalability. Now, with that, this is a big challenge itself. Either there should be the improvement in the blockchain itself, because the number of records you can have in a blockchain is limited, and the size of the blockchain can grow large, and therefore it needs large storage and each node in the network. So that's a big challenge on the network. That means a network will be able to store only on the blockchain data, and the blockchain will consume entire bandwidth of the so this puts a big challenge because of the blockchain performance. So how to take care of that is a big challenge. That you must have contract algorithms, or you should have what you call or blockchain, whatever features of the blockchain, they must be used efficiently. That's what the big challenge for using blockchain for 5G. But it opens a lot of areas for 5G, as I talked earlier. And the security and privacy, though blockchain is considered secure, but some of the research in last 1 and 2 years, when blockchain is considered to be security in 5G, it has shown certain weaknesses as well. That blockchain security is compromised to a certain extent to the 5G. The research paper claims that also. The quality of service limitations. If you have to provide the quality of service with the blockchain, it will be difficult, because as I said, the latency, because it will reduce it will increase the delay, it will consume more bandwidth. So how to do that? That's the big challenge. And therefore, there are 3 open research area which is talked right now. In the direction of the research, those who are interested, they can go to the papers and see. It's that can you integrate machine learning with the blockchain for 5G, and especially deep reinforcement learning. That is what people are talking about. Can deep reinforcement learning can be integrated with the blockchain for 5G is a new future direction where researchers are working right now. And second is when 5G deals with the big data, because 5G will generate massive data with the volume, variety, or veracity, whatever you call, then how do we use blockchain for efficiently for that kind of handling of big data analytics? That is another direction of research which people claim. And nevertheless, next comes the 5G also has its own limitation. Therefore, people talk of 6G, where we'll talk of intelligent data transfer or intelligent data management. That is the big challenge, where the 5G is all your networking with the AI applications. That is what the 6G is projected as. And therefore, the blockchain technology, how can we use it 6G? Though 6G is supposed to be delivered by 2030, but still people have started to work on that direction. So that means what we are saying is that blockchain technology really what you call is gives a benefit takes benefit from 5G that will give rise to novel applications which will be used for 6G applications. That includes resource sharing and ubiquitous computing, and that also be to reliable content-based storage. Is a big challenge and intelligent data management in 6G. So these can be the future, these directions for the research. I took this. So my conclusion is delivering in 5G and deliver a measure of consistency is hard. That means the data, the connectivity should be available all the time is very hard. And the coverage and capacity that all the time you must be covered, and the capacity is a big challenge. In the transport rural area, big buildings is a big challenge. And the future of 5G is bright if you realigned with the realities. That if you align with the blockchain, that you must see that how to deal with the issues of blockchain. It will be a transformational change if you can deliver IoT, if 5G can be able to do that. And the consistent connectivity would be appreciated by almost. So I need my connectivity all the time, right? मेरा mobile का signal नहीं जाना चाहिए, my internet नहीं जाना चाहिए. So that is what is a big challenge, and that will bring a new era to the wireless communication. But at the same time, the future of 5G can be considered bright if integrated with the blockchain, but provided you need efficient algorithms and mechanism for integration of blockchain with the 5G, because blockchain has its own difficulty in terms of storage and in terms of computation power it requires. Yeah, आप इतने दिन से सुन रहे होंगे मुझे कुछ. But the decentralization because of the blockchain will definitely help the activities of the network in future, and it will also improve network from one centralized failure points. And this can work as a boost for development of 6G. And that's what I can conclude. And this is the one book where I took 5G. My slides were made from the first book, William Webb. Second paper, if anybody wants to read, is the Blockchain for 5G Network and Beyond, a state-of-art service by Dean C. New, and there are multiple authors. It is published in what you call IEEE Communications Survey and Tutorial, 2019. It gives you a good idea that how blockchain can be integrated with the 5G. So anybody interested can go through this paper, Blockchain for 5G and Beyond, state of art, IEEE, I'll repeat, IEEE Communication Survey and Tutorial, right, 2019. And with that, thank you.
All right, sir. Any question from the participant side? Sir, you can stop your slide sharing, please.
Okay. Sorry, मैं अब इससे ज़्यादा बोल नहीं सकता.
नहीं sir, thank you so much. You were not well, then also you accepted and you came. Thank you so much.
I wanted to make a trial. भाई अब 4-5 महीने बाद I can talk for 1 hour. Not. I'm able to, but still I have little difficulty.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There is a question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, what are your viewpoints on the Wi-Fi progress rate, as well as it is challenging the 5 gigabyte? As it is cheaper. What are your viewpoints on Wi-Fi, like fidelity versus 5G? It is way cheaper, and it is like have a great brand network, and expected in 20 years to gain a frequency of up to 6 terahertz.
See, my take on that is, yes, it can provide a huge bandwidth, but what you can say, the line of sight for light is a big issue. So how much, what small cells you are going to make, or how far the distance is going to be. Because if you remember, when these laser technology came in the beginning, there was a conference in what you call in some of the Scandinavian country. when first time this laser technology came and they tried in the night, everything was working fine. When daytime, when the morning the conference started, and they found that the network is not working because the light laser signal is deviated because of the interference from the sunlight.
Yes.
And then it was not, see, if the height of the receiving antenna is some alignment, the light signal, rather than going in the straight line, because the laser signal got interference by the sunlight, it goes up. It was de-aligned from the receiver, so therefore the network did not work. Whole day the conference could not take place, and they tried to find out what happened. Then ultimately they found that the laser signal in the daytime got interference because of the sunlight. So what I'm trying to say is, with the light signals, there are a lot of issues, and till we resolve those issues, because if you have some obstacle in between, the light can be blocked. So otherwise, if all these issues are taken care of, it will give you a huge bandwidth. It will be a very successful technology.
So it is now using infrared signal as well.
Yeah, because when you go Li-Fi, you have to use certain light signals, no?
Yes.
That's what. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So light signals have their own issues.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question from the participant side? All right. I think there is no question now. Sir, we express our deep gratitude towards Professor Lobial for sparing his precious time for us and showing us diversified aspects of different generation, network generation, and he projected light on blockchain in 5G technology. Thank you so much, sir. Now that
Thank you.
We have come to the end of the 5th day of our faculty development program, I would like to take the privilege of thanking our exceptional speakers for their valuable time and words of wisdom. I would also like to express my gratefulness towards our participants for sustaining their zeal and enthusiasm till this day of FDP. I look forward to meet you all tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for concluding day of this 1 week FDP. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tripti.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. This is good. Thank you for the trial. So I have a little bit coughing at times
Yes,
if I
sir.
speak longer.
Yes, sir. Yes,
That's
sir.
the problem.
Yeah. Do take care of yourself, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, sir. Sir, we'll have one selfie photograph.
Okay.
I request all the participants to switch on the camera, please, for the selfie photograph. And the feedback link has been shared in the WhatsApp group. For both of the session, I request all the participants to fill the feedback form. Thank you.
Lobia sir, it was nice listening to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
अभी तो हम बीमारी में ही चल रहे हैं, तो अभी ऐसे ही चल रहा है, बस ठीक है। मैं इस बीच में घर ही में था तो कुछ पढ़ने का मौका मिला तो मैंने उसी को बोल दिया। और
Yeah, it's good, sir. It's good.
I'm on leave nowadays.
Thank you so much, everyone. We have done with the photograph. Thank you, Lobial sir, once again. I know you were not well, and then also you spared the time, sir. From corner
I was doubtful whether I will be able to talk for 1 hour or not.
नहीं sir, बहुत अच्छे से हमारा session हो गया, and I know that coughing was there.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye, sir.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye, sir. Yes, participant, I want you now that also that we will be shortly we will be the recording session will be on live. It will be public in the YouTube. And